blank screen is just as bad or good as a blank page. You've got to bring something to it either way. It's just another format in which you can draw on, which is great in a way, but it doesn't really help you if you have no ideas or can't draw or don't know what to draw. I can remember telling a friend, like, this is how I draw, and I was maybe at secondary school, and it was all about, I don't want to take the pen off the paper, so I'm going to draw a guy, let's draw a cowboy. So here I am, I'm drawing him, and like, screw it, I'll just now I'm drawing the horse, but the line hasn't come off. So here's the horse, and here's a cactus, and I'll just draw the cactus over the horse. So there you go, all in one kind of loop or a couple of loops. Flattened, and like a kind of cubist type kind of squishing, so different perspectives all in one shape. I don't know why I drew like that. I just thought I guess I was showing off to an extent, or being lazy, or perhaps very much those two things. When I draw these more elaborate, busy compositions, it's not. It's difficult to know how it's going to end up when you actually start to draw it. So I always think it's a little game that you play against yourself. Paper being like maybe the board, which you play the game on, and you start laying down a line, and that will then influence the next line you draw and the next shape you draw. So it's something that is improvised. It's formed whilst making. So with these kind of pieces, I have a sort of vague idea of what it is I want to draw, but it all changes as soon as the game begins, as soon as the drawing starts. You make up the rules. Talking about some of the things I used to like as a kid, like we talk about cartoons and stuff, Tex Avery and Chuck Jones, and people like that in the modern day, you could say Pendleton Ward or the team behind Adventure Time. Miyazaki and Miyamoto that makes a Mario game. They build these worlds, and they have their own internal logic, their own laws of physics, their own reasoning of what's acceptable, what's possible, and what's not possible. And so you never feel cheated when you're in those places. And to a lesser extent, when you're defining your visual language. So I know it's acceptable to have an arm come out the sole of your shoe, and to be holding a pair of eyeballs, and that a mouth can be sideways or upside down, or inside a nostril. Like, those are rules that I've developed for myself. So even though there seems to be kind of wackiness, it's a wacky logic, and that's why they kind of work. And then you can start tweaking those things, playing with those things. But that's part of the language that you develop, and that takes time. That takes years and years of playing around. I feel like, sat here now, that I've always drawn like that. But if I pick a sketchbook off the shelf that I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it looks really different. But in my mind, it's the same, that we always think that we are the same person. And then you see a photograph of yourself 10 years ago, you're like, oh my God, that's totally different. So I think it's a bit like that, because they're one and the same. It's like your drawing style and visual language and all those things, they're totally exactly as you are as they're tied into how you are as a human. So you can't, I find it anyway, I can't divorce myself from drawing and who I am. So this is how I think, or how I talk, or how I dress, how I sing in the shower. They're all connected.